Now we're going to start building this machine. Now, if you look at it from this point of view, it looks pretty complex, right? There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things here and there. And as you scroll through, like all these wires, all this mess here, right? It looks pretty complex, but really it's not that bad. There's a few pieces to it here, and I'll be going back to this picture in a second too. Okay? But let's take a look at the first part of the build, and that's the back piece. This is probably the longest single build right here, is getting this back piece started. Every other piece, like section, like you're just adding three of these with a couple blocks, couple preloads, making your y-axis, mounting your y-axis, right? Then your other rails up here, and then everything to preload, these little face panels, right? So I try to sort of do it Lego style, where one piece at a time. Yeah, and I'll explain every single one of these in separate videos. But we're going to start off with this one. All right. So, probably the most time consuming one right here is how we're starting. Okay. So, in red here, it says preload slot nuts. That's very important. If you miss some, you're going to have to use the drop-ins, which aren't as friendly. They're a lot tougher to use, and they're a lot tougher to like slide up and down a little bit, especially on the tube. Make sure you have slot nuts on this rail here, or this extrusion and this extrusion here, because you're going to need to move the tube up and down little bits to get everything aligned. Same thing with your mirror mount. This is your mirror mount line right here. So let's take a look at it. So here it is built, right? It's got all these frame pieces, and it's ready to go. If you look closely, you'll see all these slot nuts in here. I guess I'll turn on the webcam to show you that. So it's got slot nuts already in there, right? And slot nuts up top too, right? And that is to mount certain things. So it's pretty tough to get slot nuts in this extrusion when there's already a rail here, right? So if you got a rail here and a rail here, it's really hard to slide the slot nuts in. So you got to do it while you're building it, or else you got to take it apart. So let's go look at the drawing here. Okay, so here's the drawing. Yours might be a different size, right? Depending on what you selected. But mine is 800 by 450. That's what I'll be building. If you want to follow me exactly, make sure you put 800, 450, and 50 millimeter laser diameter, and then radiator on the side fans over here, and side power, which is right there. Okay, so first thing we'll see here are these straps, right? These are the tube clamps. Okay, now those mount onto the rail, so we want to have that preloaded. We want to have this rail stuff preloaded. We also want to have the brackets for our Y shaft. These things preloaded. So if we go back to the webcam here, there they are, right? So there's those side brackets that I was just talking about for this piece right here. Okay. And then you have your NEMA 23 mount, right? I guess I'll see what I do. Click it, right click, hide that part. Okay. So there's a lot of things that need to be mounted to this later that you're going to want to put in nuts for right now. Even the back piece, right? The back piece has holes in it. This piece has holes in it. So there's quite a few things. And then there's also that separation here. So this piece right here, that surface, and this surface right here are 150 millimeters apart. Okay, that's very important. This piece doesn't really matter, right? This piece doesn't really matter. Okay, so if we take a look at our drawing here, or our sort of sketch, here's the back side, right? So this piece and this piece are 150 millimeters apart. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter because it can move in and out depending on what tube you use and where you want to mount the tube. This one doesn't matter because of that NEMA 23. Let's go back a picture here. So here's a lot of the stuff going on. So back here, you can see the mirror. That's on that second to last one. So that one can move around, right? There's that first mirror right over here. Here's the tube mounts, right, with the straps on it. You can see that the straps, are in a reasonable place. They can move in and out depending on where they fit best. And then the NEMA 23 onto this one, right? So we can bring it closer or farther, whatever makes sense, right? That way there's not a lot of wobble in the motion. Okay. So when you're building this, make sure to put all your clamps or all your preloads in here. Also, we'll go back to our video here. So the easiest way to do this is make 6 of these, right? So 6 of these bars with the 2 brackets and the 2 brackets, right? Preload all those. Make 2 of these where it's got, a bracket here and a bracket here. There we go. So the brackets aren't, wide like this, like 180. The brackets are 90 from each other here. So get the 6 of these done and make sure you preload as necessary, right? Because some of them have slot nuts, in the front or back, not in the way of these brackets. Some of them have it on the side, right? Where your Y shaft mount goes. So make sure to pay attention to that. Make sure you add everything you need. Lay it out. Right? So as you're making these things, lay them out in order so you know which ones have, nuts up front, nuts on the side, and then your angles ones. And then slide all these onto one of the rails and mount it up. And then you slide the top rail on and you're made. You're good to go. So get to this point right here where you have, all 8 of your supports mounted to your 2 long pieces. You have one more long piece this length. And make sure to have all the brackets installed. And we'll go on to the next part. Thanks for watching.